Hey everybody, we are here at Barren River Lake State Resort Park where we've just sat down with Seth Wheat where we've discussed everything you can do during the summer at Kentucky State Parks. We think you're going to want to listen along. So we're here again with you today, Seth Wheat at Barren River Lake State Resort Park. Thank you so much for sitting down with us for a little while to talk about summer at Kentucky State Parks.
Well, thanks for having me back on, guys. I enjoyed it last time. Happy to do it again. Yeah.
Well, there's so much. The reason I think it's such a fun conversation for us to have is because there are so many good things to talk about that's happening at the state parks.
There's always something going on somewhere.
Yeah.
And sometimes all at the same time. It can be hectic. But we've got something for everybody all the time. Summer has traditionally always been our busiest season. The recreation season from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Anymore, fall is, I think, as busy as summertime is, but we'll talk about that later. Mm-hmm. There's so much stuff going on right now. It's hard to kind of keep your arms wrapped around all of it. But just glad to talk to you all again. And I want to hear about some of your all's recent adventures too.
We've had the best time.
We have.
We got to go out and really explore. I'd say we went to over a dozen state parks.
At least.
Yeah, in the last few weeks.
I started to say within the last month or less, right?
Yeah. And it so many places that we had taken our kids while they were growing up mm-hmm. and were central to their childhood, and so many places that we have been. I wouldn't say for the first time, but I think we really explored them for the first time because we have before 2025 we had been to every single Kentucky State Park.
Okay.
But like sitting down with Wycliffe Mounds and wow. Yeah. And that's definitely if you haven't listened to that podcast, that's definitely a podcast that you all will want to listen to. The staff you all have there at the park, they're so knowledgeable.
Oh, they love it, don't they? It's evident, right?
Yeah. They love what they do.
Yeah.
And getting to share that with people and such an important place in history that has been preserved, mm-hmm. which is part of your all's goals.
It is.
As the Kentucky State Park organization, or you all are a section out of the Kentucky Tourism Arts and Heritage Council, mm-hmm. correct?
Yep.
And you all are charged with protecting and preserving, I'm sure, part of the lands that are in Kentucky. I'm not sure what
we have a large mission statement, right? It's got a lot of different. I can't recite it by memory because, like I said, it's pretty long. But the heart of it is what you're talking about: preservation, conservation, providing opportunities for recreation. And then there's language in there about making an economic impact on the communities where we're located, mm-hmm. Especially when a lot of these parks were established. That was a big factor, was creating places for economic activity where people could find jobs, where people could come to vacation, to recreate, to make an economic impact while they were traveling. But the core of our mission is really to protect these places that are worthy of state custodianship. That's what our kind of founding father figure, Dr. Willard Gilson, we talked about that, I think, some on the last time I sat down with you all when we were celebrating our 100 years. Dr. Gilson, the state geologist who went out and sort of mapped out where so many of our state parks should be, he said these are the places that are deserving of state custodianship so they can be enjoyed by future generations. And then, we take an active role in interpreting those places too, and that's what a lot of the team I get to work with does. And we talked about that last time I know also, but I think it bears repeating that whenever you're out, go meet our fabulous staff like the folks you all met at Wycliffe. So we've got signage, we've got artifacts, we've got, ways for you to engage with parks yourselves. But if you can find one of our naturalists on park and get them to tell you the story and tell you why it's important, I think that's really the best experience, right?
It is, and because they are your guides.
Yeah.
If you will, that may not be the correct term, but they're so knowledgeable, and everyone we've encountered, they've been so passionate about you knowing what they know, so that you can experience the unique aspects of those parks. We sat down also with the park manager at Carter Caves, mm-hmm. and wow, he was fabulous. And then he had also been an interpreter at, is it Big Bone Lake? No.
I don't know where Paul came from.
Blue Licks Battlefield. And so he shared a little bit about that park with us, off camera.
Yeah.
And just so there's so many. I think so many people on your staff don't just know their park, but they kind of know a lot about other aspects of different parks that they want you to know about as well.
Right.
So your staffing seems to be just fabulous.
We're super proud of them. It's something you get into for the love of it, I think, and that's evident. With that crew, they wanted to do this, and it kind of shows in their work. And so it's fun when you get to see people, doing something they love to do, and it's something that's so engaging, and so it can make a difference, to the guests, to their coworkers, to anybody that's going to come through and have an experience on that park. It just provides a more well-rounded visit and an opportunity for people to learn and understand. I know why this is so important now, and it really makes the best experience, I think.
It gives you that. A lot of the reason we sit down and podcast with people is to give people that behind the scenes look, or that behind the scenes information, and they encountering your staff really will do that for any visitor. That any guest of any park, it seems to us, or that was our experience. For sure. And also speaking to our experiences lately, there's so many things that are available to so many people who are capable of doing tough things, or capable of doing things that, you may need basic accessibility for. There's a wide range of activity that people can have, no matter what their skill level or abilities. And that seems to be, a beautiful thing about Kentucky State Parks, is that there's accessibility to so many different things for so many. If you're a young family, if you're a single hiker, whatever you are, there seems to be so much that people can do.
Yeah, that's really, it's tough to please all people, no doubt, no matter what you're doing. But you're right, Rochelle. We've got things you can experience at Kentucky State Parks, particularly when it comes to some of the outdoor or recreation aspects that we offer, that you don't have to have any experience. We'll help get you there. We'll help get you started, to let you do something outside your comfort zone. And taking that first step can be the hardest thing and the best thing to do. And then we've got plenty of parks that offer adventures and opportunities for people who have spent a great deal of time outdoors, that aren't new, that this is what they've chosen to do as their main form of recreation, or the way they live their life, that they enjoy a more backcountry experience, or something that a good percentage of the population may not ever get into. But we've got things like that too, and it's good to offer that mix of things.
It is. And you'll have like guided hikes. So in some situations there'll even be someone who will go with you to increase your comfort level. So I don't know what all events you all have coming up this summer.
We've got a lot. We've got a lot. I wrote a list down of some things that I think people might be interested in. It's early June now as we sit here, I guess. And so I can't remember like I used to. I had to write them down. So
we support writing.
I tell you,
we support lists.
I used to be able to recall things a lot better, but anymore.
Yeah.
So the weekend of June 14th, there's two really cool events going on. There's Discovery Day at Big Bone Lick State Park.
Okay.
And it's a little bit of everything that happens out there. It's at one of the shelters on the park. I think there's a small admission fee. I think it's $5, and I think kids get in free. But there's going to be some environmental education that's going on with different vendors and partners of ours that are going to be on site, sharing information, teaching. There'll be crafts. There'll be different recreation activities people can participate in. So it's a little bit of everything going on at Big Bone, which is one of our coolest parks. They'll have some fossils and artifacts there on display, because that's really the history of Big Bone. The birthplace of what is it, vertebrate paleontology, or North America. I'm forgetting the tagline now. That's awful, but it's a remarkable place. That's history goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and the team there does a great job of displaying that. We've got the bison herd there that people can go up and see. There's a great little walking trail around the bison herd with one new viewing platform that was built to accommodate people in wheelchairs. The trail is relatively flat. It's gravel, but again, it's accessible and open to a lot of people. That same weekend at Cumberland Falls State Park, they're going to have an outdoor skills day. So just like what you were talking about, if you're new to doing things outdoors, you want to get more into that lifestyle, go visit our friends at Cumberland Falls, and you can learn kind of the basic skill sets, what some of the equipment needed to go camping, to go hiking. If you've never done this stuff, that's kind of a good way to go get a primer 101 type deal onto what all you need to do to get outside. And it's, the outdoors are open for everyone.
It's not that hard.
It is and it isn't. It's funny.
If we can do it,
Well,
we feel like, yeah.
Yeah, but for some people that might think they're interested in it, it can be intimidating.
It can, yeah. There can be barriers to entry.
Where do you start?
Exactly right.
What do I need?
We have opportunities to lower those barriers of entry, and I think that's what these types of events are geared towards.
That's a huge asset right there.
Mm-hmm.
And Cumberland Falls is not hard to get to. Straight down I-75. So if you're coming from Lexington or Northern Kentucky or any urban area, it doesn't have to be one of our bigger cities, but if you don't think you have easy access to the outdoors from your backyard or from your neighborhood or from whatever area, if you don't live in a rural area and haven't grown up outdoors, then a state park is a great place to get that, because you'll get the staff there. You'll get the hiking trails that are well marked, that are mapped. You can kind of ease your way into it. And special events like that one, like the Outdoor Skills Day, are an even easier way to kind of get up to speed and give you some confidence, before you strike out on your own.
That sounds very encouraging.
Yeah,
it should be. Yeah, it is.
Very encouraging.
That same weekend, the 14th and 15th of June, at Old Fort Herod State Park, they're doing their annual settlement and raid of the fort. So reenactors, living history demonstrators will be there. They'll have people in period dress, living that lifestyle, and they'll do an actual raid on the fort there, and people will get to see. So that's more of a living history type deal that goes back to our earliest settlement here in Kentucky. And again, back to the point we were on earlier, kind of tells you why this is a state park, why is this important. And that staff out at Old Fort Herod does a great job. It's a unique park too.
It is
in the middle of downtown Harrodsburg, our oldest settlement site here in Kentucky. But it's a great place to go any day of the week and kind of learn what life was like then for the people that settled that area, and what their challenges were like, and how they lived their life. And it's a beautiful park right in downtown Harrodsburg. And Harrodsburg, the city, has been a great partner for us there, and they help us take care of that place. And I think are fortunate to have it in their city, and it's just a great partnership we've got.
It's a great asset to what they have entire Mercer County.
Yeah,
has amazing things.
Yeah,
you can really itinerary build a lot.
Last year they did a special event because it was also what was the anniversary? It was the 250th anniversary of Harrodsburg, along with our 100th anniversary at State Parks. So they did a big event last year, this time of year, and they had some folks go take a canoe trip on the Kentucky River. They were in modern day canoes, but they were all dressed in period appropriate dresses, about a dozen folks, and they floated down the Kentucky River. We actually went and dropped them off at a campground up there. I think it was Cummins Ferry Campground, maybe. I can't remember. But then they floated and tried to get off the river. There was a boat ramp there now, but in as close to the historically accurate place of where James Herod and his settlement party, would have got off the river and things like that. So that's kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And that really shows how excited they still are about representing the history of their town. People wouldn't be doing that type of thing if they were not excited about sharing that with everyone.
Oh, they had a huge celebration, and Harrodsburg, Mercer County Tourism were involved, the Chamber of Commerce, a bunch of local artists. They had stuff going on for well over a week straight. It was definitely a big deal. And then, we had our special stuff going on there. But if you missed last year's celebration and want to get in on that, then June 14th and 15th, make sure you go visit Old Fort Herod. Sort of all summer long, if you're near E.P. Tom in Louisville, if you're near John James Audubon, are two of our parks. Some other parks may do them also, but I know they do the most. Summer adventure camps, day campus activities for kids. They'll be broken out by age group and have different activities going on. All those are listed on our website, parks.ky.gov. Go to the events tab and you can see that. So if you've got younger kids and you live anywhere near a park, check out if they've got summer camps or day camps going on. But like I said, I know E.P. Tom, that crew, and the crew at John James Audubon do an amazing job. Some of my team and the State Parks Trail crew and our friends with the Office of Kentucky Nature Preserves, they've been out at John James here in recent weeks doing a lot of storm damage cleanup. So the trails were really impacted by some of the storms we've had this spring. and they've spent several days out there trying to get those things open back up and ready. I think we did some reroutes on a couple of places to try to avoid any future issues. Getting new signs put up out there, new signs for the wetland trail. I think I talked about that last time. If I haven't, it's an amazing boardwalk that goes through a piece of property that State Parks was able to purchase in conjunction with our friends of John James Audubon State Park, an amazing group that's such a good partner for that park. So there's an actual boardwalk that goes out into that wetland property now that's totally ADA accessible. But it's good for anybody. It's just an amazing habitat out there. So if you're going to be in and around Henderson, go check out the trails that have been recently renovated. Go check out that boardwalk trail if you've not been there. Got a trail work volunteer day going on at Carter Caves at the end of June.
Okay.
I think it's June 28th. Another fun event they've got going on. I forget the name of the cave. I can look it up later. But it's on the calendar of events also online. An underground pool party in one of the caves. That's going on June 25th. Yeah.
We didn't hear about this.
Underground pool party. Yeah. They're opening up one of the caves. I think you need to bring your own float.
Okay.
They'll give you life jackets, and there'll be, a waiver to sign, of course, and a pre-trip meeting, but you get to go in the cave, on the water, in a float. That was a popular thing for all people showing up on creeks and rivers and just kind of hanging out in rafts or floats and hanging out. So Carter Caves always has so much going on. They have a huge recreation and interpretive team up there. That's where Paul came from, our manager there now. He was part of that team. But they do such a good job.
Let me just add here, never
Please.
heard of an underground pool party.
Yeah, that was new, wasn't it?
Never.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Never heard of that.
They've got rappelling going on one day this month. It could be July, but I'm pretty sure it's June. I think on Natural Bridge out at Carter Caves. Not to be confused with Natural Bridge State Park, but they have their own Natural Bridge at Carter Caves. Like I said, they always have so much going on out there. So, I can't recommend that crew enough.
When we sat down with them, they spoke about the rappelling day and
Good.
talked about how if you're a beginner, if it's something you've never done, we'll help you get through that. And if you're seasoned, then, it's for you as well. So exactly what we've been talking about. They put thought into bringing everybody in where they are with whatever skill set. You can tell they've given a lot of thought to that.
Yeah, they're top notch. They do a phenomenal job. A goofy segue then to talk about one of our earlier points and the more popular natural bridge that folks do think of when they think of Natural Bridge State Resort Park.
Right.
We have done one special event like this. We got a grant from the Ford Motor Company's Bronco Wild Adventure Fund to purchase camping equipment. And a member of my team, Carrie Roof, that works for Parks Central Office team, she's put together, with the help of our naturalist on site, to do a series of kind of family camping weekends, just like we were talking about for families that have never gone camping and want to learn and figure it out. We've got all the stuff you need. We'll be there on site. We won't be, on top of you all weekend. You'll get time to enjoy your family on a camp out like you should, but they'll kind of go through what it takes to set your campsite up. We'll have all the equipment, like I said, tents, sleeping bags, the cooking utensils. Will show you how to prepare meals while you're on a campsite. So we've done one at Kincaid Lake, but the next one is coming up at the end of June 29th at Natural Bridge State Resort Park. So Carrie from my team at Central Office and Sammy, our naturalist at Natural Bridge, are going to put that program on. That will also be online on our calendar. You can figure out how to register for that. There's a limited number of spots. If we have too many people register, we'll do a drawing for it. Okay. I forget what the total number of spots are, but if you have a family, you want to get into camping, you've never done it before, this is your time to learn how to do that. We will do another one here at Barren River in the fall. We were actually set to do one at Barren River earlier in May, but the weather, as you can imagine, did not agree with us. So we've pushed that one to the fall, which honestly will be a better time to do it because camping in the fall is my absolute favorite. So stay tuned for that one. But you'll be able to find the links online and what you need to do, the instructions to register for the family camping weekend at Natural Bridge State Park, June 29th. All of it online, parks.ky.gov.
That is so special.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. We also got...
and kudos to your team to do the work to get the grant, to get the equipment.
Oh, yeah. Well, kudos to my team in general because they do all the good stuff.
I believe it.
They're the reason we do anything good at all.
I believe it.
But one of the things we did is we got funding to wrap. We had a trailer that our law enforcement team, an enclosed travel, not a travel trailer, an enclosed box trailer that our law enforcement team was no longer using. So we had funding to get that wrapped with cool graphics and pictures, and we'll be able to use it for these. They were intended to be used for these family camping weekends, so we can transport all the equipment to the campsites. But we'll be able to use it throughout the year at special events and stuff. So if you see that thing traveling around the road, and you don't have anywhere to be, just get in line behind it and follow them to the closest state park and see what's going on, right?
Because something cool is going to follow.
Something cool will be going on, no doubt.
Some of the best food I've ever eaten has been out on a campsite.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
It just hits better when you're cooking outside.
Yeah, it's 5-star dining. It's real.
It is good.
Yeah, it's good.
We'll tell you some secrets later.
It's
we do have some secrets through the years.
Well, even if it's just simple like hot dogs and s'mores.
Oh yeah.
That's good. But there's so many products out there now that are geared for that. Like you can really get pretty adventurous with your culinary efforts when you're camping out now.
Absolutely.
To say nothing of the fact if you wanted to take one of those, I've got one of those outdoor griddles at home that I cook on a ton, and there's tons of those that come in camping size, whatever you want. The sky's the limit.
Yeah.
But yeah, cooking outdoors is the way to go, and you have some pretty awesome meals. We're going to be working with our food service team to start putting some of that content out too, and maybe do a little video instructional how-tos along those lines as we visit different parks throughout the rest of this year, and show people, it doesn't have to be complicated, and it can be delicious.
We would love to share with your culinary staff one of our favorite, the most low-tech thing you've ever heard. It's crazy. And I think we learned this from Girl Scouting. You take a stick, you carve it, a pretty good diameter stick.
Okay.
You carve the end, butter it, wrap a refrigerated biscuit around it, like a spiral.
Okay.
Cap the end with the rest of the dough, and then you slowly roast that biscuit on a stick over the campfire until it's completely
golden
cooked.
Brown.
Mm-hmm.
It's just golden brown. Then it slides right off the stick, and you have this little cone of biscuit that you can squirt jelly into. Or if you want a savory biscuit on the stick experience, then some cheese, some ham, some bacon, whatever. And you have this little ready-made...
Well, I can picture it in my head. I'd imagine it's a pretty dynamic visual presentation too, right?
It's great.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's fun. It's just fun. And it's a slow roasting type thing. So you're sitting around the campfire. You're slowly turning your biscuit on a stick,
That's a new one on me. I've never heard of biscuit on a stick.
Biscuit on a stick. We did that the entire time our kids are growing up.
It's delicious.
It's delicious. I mean, it can be whatever you want it to be, right? You could put anything.
Or you could roast your hot dog and then take your hot dog off and slide it into that biscuit as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, but it's fun all the way around, because you work on your whittling skills or carving skills. You work on finding the right diameter. So you got a little math in there, And so anyway, we've had the best time. That's been our favorite thing.
All right, I'm going to add that to the repertoire.
And a really good night, Seth Wheat, is when you have a savory biscuit on a stick followed by a sweet biscuit on a stick. So, like your cheese and your whatever go in first, and then you make another one for yourself and squirt the jelly or the honey or sorghum or whatever it is you have brought that sounds delicious to put in there.
Well, I've been trying to watch how many sweets I've been eating, but I took the my 6-year-old camping a couple weeks ago, and so we had to do s'mores, and man, I don't know how many years it had been since I'd had one.
Yeah.
And so that one really hit, and then we kept it simple. They had one of those campsite grills there. So just, I cooked over charcoal on that, just super simple. And I'm a sucker for a good breakfast. And so I got one of the, it's just a cast iron flat top that you can set on a grill, or you could even use it on one of the campfire grates that are built to kind of cook over the campfire if you wanted to do that. And set that on there and did the bacon and eggs on that. Coffee in the percolator over the fire, it's
can't beat it.
Yeah, it is. You can't.
It cannot be beat. Yeah.
Next time I'll probably do steaks, I think, because
why not?
Because why not?
Yeah, because why not?
Yeah, all right, I'll have to add the biscuit on the stick.
We could do a whole podcast just about campfire cooking, probably. we're fans. We're
Well,
just
and I don't know what if there's a more correct term now, but the hobo sacks or the
Uh-huh.
the foil packs
Mhm.
were huge, and I love potatoes
Yeah.
and just whatever you like to eat. Just
Mhm.
throw them in that aluminum foil packet, get them down near the fire, turn them over a time or two,
Mhm.
open them up and eat them.
Yeah.
And you can season them. You can put a little olive oil in there, a little butter, whatever you like to season them with. I mean, just
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be complicated,
Mm-mm.
but pretty easy to make it delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big part, and it's so fun too when you're out there because that's such a huge part of your schedule. If you really let yourself, get disconnected,
Mhm.
put the phones up, don't take your laptop, just be out there and enjoy the outdoors. You go hike when you want to, you fish when you want to, you ride your bike when you want to. The only thing you're really planning around are your meals.
Yeah.
So you put a little time into it, do your prep work at the house so you've got everything. You don't have to do that. I like doing that. Then you've kind of got everything.
We like that too.
If you need to chop, if you need to dice, whatever seasonings you got it ready. And then that's really like your only schedule for the time you're out there. And it's flexible and it's fluid to whenever you need it to be, but it still kind of gives you something to look forward to. And if you like to plan, something to plan around. And the fun thing about which, if you're into backcountry camping, that's awesome. That's its own thing. If you're in a campground, I'm sure you all experience this too. One of the fun things is how communal they are.
Mhm.
And so if you're cooking, if you've got too much and you get, to make friends with your neighbors,
Mhm.
there's all kinds of ways,
Mhm.
you can share things back and forth and get to meet new people
Yeah.
who obviously enjoy some of the same things you do because you're camping at the same place.
Mhm.
There's just a lot of good going on, right?
A lot of good going. That's great.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Yeah, all
tagline.
over the
A lot of
state.
good
I
going on.
mean, too, because 45 state parks,
44.
44.
Yeah.
They're literally peppered all over the state, and so
Mhm.
vacation is just
Right near you.
Right
no
near
matter
you.
Where you are.
Yeah, you don't have to go to the beach.
Uh-uh.
You don't have to go to Disney World. You don't have to outlay thousands of dollars. And honestly, we'd probably all be a lot better off if we made more regular short trips like
Sure.
that to disconnect,
Yeah.
to get out. And you're exactly right, Tony. They may not be in your backyard, but they're close enough.
Yeah.
And it's, so I've got 2 kids now that are younger, and it's a hassle. You can't to travel. So if I've got an hour or less trip to a campground is a heck of a lot easier than 9 hours to the beach.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so much easier.
You don't feel as wiped out when you get back. You'll know how it is. You all have had kids.
Mhm.
You need a break when you get back from vacation to
Yeah.
decompress from that, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you're just going an hour down the road or 30 minutes down the road or whatever, you get the mental benefit, I think, of being able to check out, of being able to actually recreate and do things that are fun and healthy and good for you in the great outdoors, which more and more that's becoming so well known how important that is for our health all across the board.
Neurologists are speaking to
All of
it. Everybody's talking about it.
It's good all the way around.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be that hard to do it. And you can, you can leave after work on Friday and get home at Sunday night and still be, hopefully feel energized
Mhm.
and ready to go for the next
Yeah.
week, or make a long weekend,
Yeah.
take Friday through Monday, do whatever you need to do.
This is a little bit off topic, but one of the things we did as we were raising our kids to make it easier for us to get going is that we had camping boxes
Yeah.
that we
what
just
I've got too.
kept
Yep.
prepped, for like everything you're going to need camping pretty much stays in that box,
That's the way I
except for
am
your
too, Rochelle.
perishables.
Yep.
And that's part of the learning process, that you all are helping people with, figuring out the tricks to make it easier, to make it then more enjoyable.
I love to fine tune it, right? I do the exact same thing. I've got some of those big totes. I just throw them in the bed of the truck. So one's got, the sleeping bags and the tents and whatever, and the other one's got some of the cookware, the cast iron or whatever it is I'm going to be using. And
the aluminum foil
Yeah.
that you're going to need, and the
yeah,
dish
keep a pair of
soap that you're
tongs.
gonna
That's
need.
exactly right.
The
Yep.
salt and pepper can stay in the box, But yeah, so much fun stuff that can happen all over the state with all the state parks. And that's when we were talking to Wycliffe, to the interpreter there at Wycliffe Mounds, they do, for example, they do not have camping, but Columbus Belmont right beside
down the
them
road.
does. So there's so many state parks we think that can be put together in so many like cool itineraries.
Vacation package.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Where
what we
can
need you all to do is help us get the word out. Because I totally agree. Not all of them. Some of them are remote or not even remote. They're not close to
Right.
other state
They
parks.
stand alone.
Yeah. But we got a lot that are.
You have so many that you can like stay at one as a hub.
Yeah.
And
And
eat.
still.
And they offer dining.
Yep.
Eat there. And then,
Right.
30 minutes away, go visiting of the park.
Which is great because if your adventure goes too long during the day, you may not want to spend too much time around a campfire feeding yourself. You may want to go grab a meal at the lodge
That's
or
right.
whatever. So it's really the perfect mix of we can do it this way or we could do it that way. If adventure gets away from us and we just need to grab something at the lodge, that's a possibility too
Well,
for food.
And it's not just state parks either. Even though
True.
we're talking most of the day about
Right.
state parks, think about our national parks, our national forests, national
Absolutely.
historic parks, and some of just the amazing towns we have dotted all over Kentucky.
Yeah.
Right.
Trail towns are fabulous.
Trail towns, certainly I would put them on top of the list.
Yes.
But these historic communities that have great local restaurants, they have vibes that are all their own. So you can absolutely package whatever type of trip you want. Use the state park as a hub and go round and around and go see what all there is to see.
Yeah.
When you were talking about Harrisburg, it was hard for me not to be mentally thinking about the corn pudding and the 2-year aged country ham at the Beaumont Inn there in Harrisburg, because I was like, that's delicious. I mean, there's so many things. Kentucky has so many good things you could explore for years and never see it all.
Oh yeah.
And then there'll be something, if you were to ever happen to get it all done, there would be something new developed that you would then need to explore again. Because Kentucky's growth is amazing too, as far as, new things, new experiences being built, new bourbon distilleries being created all the time, new restaurants, new whatever.
Yeah, the bourbon is, we probably talked about this last time too, but it's amazing. What these places are doing, and I think that I'm not a bourbon industry expert by any means,
right.
But just from the outside looking in or being in a in a field that's sort of tangential to that, I guess it's they're investing so much more in the visitor experience side of things. It's not just about making the bourbon anymore, and it's not just about that part of it. It's about telling their stories and building these amazing facilities. A lot of them have restaurants in-house that are doing great food. Great tours. Some the concert venues just up the road from us. They're all offering there's a new hotel coming online in Bardstown, built to cater
Trail Hotel, I think.
Yeah, that's going to cater to the Bourbon Trail experience. So
good.
Yeah, there's just so much cool stuff going on. All over Kentucky.
Yeah. I mean, Kentucky's thriving. So always new things to experience and do. And your list of all the events. It's
did
amazing.
I get everything?
We haven't even tapped into like the regular. Is there more on the list?
I think the only one I didn't talk about were the concerts that happen up at Rough River Lake State Resort Park, just up the road from here. They've really leaned into their concerts that they put on at that park. Usually one a week, I think, if not every other week. Different styles of music. They do a phenomenal job. Yeah. Okay. So check out the concerts at Rough River Lake. Just outside of Rough River, the town of Litchfield's the newest trail town. They were certified back in November of 24. That's an amazing little town.
It is. And it's thriving.
Their downtown square, I mean, it's got everything you need right there. Boutique historic hotel, amazing steakhouse, awesome coffee shop, and then you're minutes away from Rough River Lake, Nolan Lake State Park, paddling on both those lakes and the rivers. I think it's the Cave Creek mountain bike trails that are out near Rough River Lake. There's like 6 miles of relatively new mountain bike trails out there. Just there's activity. There's a good vibe. There's stuff going on everywhere, and you got to get out, and kind of find it. But yeah, that's just a first blush kind of some of the things I thought. A little bit of outdoor stuff, little music, little history. Kind of depending on what your interests are. Just things we've got going on this summer. Moonbows at Cumberland Falls, if you've not been.
Oh, we have chased the moonbow 4 times. We finally saw one in May. Yeah. We're so excited.
We've got the calendar online, and the nice thing we do is we put the ideal viewing times on there also. Yes. So just get on the website, parks.ky.gov. That's where all the events will be. If you want to look beyond state parks, visit our friends at Kentucky Tourism, kentuckytourism.com. Yes. They keep an event calendar too. It's festival season right now. Before we know it, it's going to be fair season, and we'll roll into the state fair and all the other county fairs that are going on. But man, there's so much going on. Laurel Cove Music Fest, which happens at Pine Mountain State Park. I'll tell people about that in preparation for next year, because I believe it's already sold out for this year. Okay. One of the best, I think, kind of up and coming, if you still want to call it that, music venues in the whole Southeast. Draw a huge following, get a lot of great acts that are kind of on the rise. That they've already sold out for this year, but that's been an amazing concert series they do there at the Laurel Cove Amphitheater at Pine Mountain State Resort Park. Amazing natural acoustics down there, kind of in that valley, and an unbelievably scenic area to do it. I forget how many tickets they sell. I want to say 1,400, but I may be incorrect. But just get online. We've got the event still on the calendar, so you can kind of learn about it and kind of get a feel for what it is. And then if you're interested in music and live concert venues in a very intimate outdoor setting, mark your calendar for 2026 and try to get on that early. But yeah, there's so much going on.
Live music has really made a comeback.
Yeah.
And Kentucky is noticing that and there's so many venues giving so many great opportunities to hear singer-songwriters, older bands that are up and coming. There's a lot of mix out there, it seems.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong way. There's no, good or bad music. You like what you like, but we've seen so many Kentucky artists who have gotten famous or nationally known, or who have been part of this kind of resurgence in different styles of music. And so I think it's opened the door for a lot of other Kentucky-based artists to find a path and get known and be able to make the music they want. And it's pretty exciting when you think about all the people, and certainly the people I like, who have really got to be pretty well known here and kind of introduced at least the country, if not the world, to the music scene here in Kentucky. It's been pretty great.
They've been very positive ambassadors, I think, for
the
state.
Yes, good way to put it. Yes, ma'am, I agree with that. Very much so.
Now, so we've talked about events, and we've talked about, just accessibility and no matter what level you're at. But there's also, I think, one of the beautiful things I think about the Kentucky State Park system is, you're just like basic traditional staples that you all do well. You have beach access when the waters are not flooded.
When they're not, yeah.
Right. And we know that we can't control nature, but you all do have beautiful beach access points. You all have great, pool infrastructures. You have great trails, golf courses.
Yeah.
I mean, you all have some really great infrastructure that you all have continually taken care of. So.
We have tried to take care of them. It's a challenge, because most of the lodges, you just talk about lodges for a minute, they're old. They've been around for decades now, and the attention they have received over the years has kind of gone up and down. So in certain instances, we have lagged behind, but we're making a real concerted effort now to get caught up, to get things back to the way they need to be. And that's been through the support of Governor Beshear, absolutely. It's been through the support of the legislature also, making the investments and understanding that, we're very unique in Kentucky. We talked about 44 state parks earlier, Tony. We've got 17 resort parks. That's a lot. It's a lot of hotel-type properties to manage. And some of those really operate as their own independent city with the infrastructure they have on site, from the electrical power grid they have,
right.
Wastewater treatment plants, whatever the case are. It takes a lot of investment and a lot of man hours and know-how to keep those things functional and operational. But to your point, Rochelle, most every state park has trails. Some of them are more adventurous and difficult than others, but most every single state park has trails to get out and explore, to take walks. We have shelters all over the state. I think we have 80 some odd shelters where you can go have a picnic, where you can have a family reunion, where you can have a cookout. I should commit this to memory how many campgrounds we have. We have several that are open year round. Most of them are open seasonally, but they provide a more campground type experience. We have some places where you can do more backcountry camping or primitive campsites where we won't have electric or running water, but many of our sites do. We've got boat ramps to get on these fabulous lakes we have all over Kentucky. So you can go fish, you can go boat, hang out on a pontoon boat. We have marinas at a number of our state parks that are located on some of our larger lakes. Usually those are operated by, a private concessionaire that has a contract with the state to operate that marina. You can get boat rentals, ramps to launch your own boat. We've got restaurants in all of our lodges. We touched on the food pretty well earlier. Bike trails, places to launch a canoe and kayak. You don't have to have a full service boat ramp to put a canoe in or a kayak. A lot of our parks have their own canoe or kayak fleet. So if you don't have your own boat, you can rent one from us, get on the water. It's such a great way to experience our lakes or on canoe or kayak or some of our rivers or creeks. And then in places like here at Barron River, the naturalist we have here, Amanda, she's a certified American canoe and kayak instructor. So she's got a series of programs going on all throughout the summer and throughout the year where she's going to do, canoe and kayak instruction on the lake, teach people the skills they need. How to do those things, because that's a ton of fun. I've got a kayak that's collecting dust in my barn, but once upon a time, that was one of my favorite ways to explore too.
Absolutely.
And again, when you look beyond just the lines on a state park or the lines on the map that surround a state park, we're home to Kentucky's one and only nationally designated water trail up at the Green River. So you can get on there and explore the Green, run up to one of your all's newest adventures, grab a bite to eat, which is so cool what you all have going on.
Thanks. Thanks. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. There's plenty to do this summer.
Plenty to do. As well as there is in every season. We've, learned too, but it's
maybe right now is a good time to make this point. We lead pretty busy lives. We farm, media company, and yet we still were able to take a couple of days a week for a period of about 4 weeks and hit a lot of state parks.
How many did you all go to?
It's doable.
How many did you all go to this go around?
I don't have a firm count, but I know it's for sure at least a dozen. And we did that in 3 to 4 weeks.
And enjoyed it.
Had the best time.
A blast.
And we were still very leisure. It was still, because we went to Lake Barkley, Ken Lake, Kentucky Dam Village, Columbus Belmont, Wycliffe Mounds, in one go, and we had meaningful experiences in every single one of them. Are there still things we want to go back to do? Absolutely, at every one of them.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Because you just, and it's because your staff, they let us know, when you'll want to go here and you'll want to do this, and here's the history on this, and it was just, and the food was delicious, and the rest was great, and your staff was thoughtful, and it was pleasant. And then we did a trip to the east. To the east, and we did. We caught the moonbow. That was the first night of our trip that weekend, and we got there, and Tony said, "I think we have 10 minutes before it's going to cloud over again," and we got it within that 10 minutes. We saw it.
Was it crowded down there when you all were out there?
It's almost like a little bit of a festival atmosphere.
I've seen it both ways.
Kind of like a party.
Because like you all, it took me, it was the third time I tried that I finally saw it. Yeah. And I've been back once since then, and it was too cloudy to see it.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. There's usually always a bit of a crowd, but I have been there once before when it was shoulder to shoulder along those viewing rails.
It was. And people were so kind to each other to let people go in.
Trade places and stuff. Yeah, it's good.
Can I squeeze in and whatever. So, and then people were sharing photo settings, like how's your camera set to get that photo?
Yeah.
And, everybody was so kind. But we went to Thomas Walker.
Yeah.
That same trip. And we went to Big Bone. No, we did not go to, we went to Blue Licks. We went to Carter Caves. And so, and I'm probably forgetting somebody on that trip, but it's just, there's so many things to do. Carter Caves, you could literally stay there. And
multiple weeks, I think.
Oh yeah.
Just the trails alone,
And the activities.
Yeah.
Just wow.
And the caves. We haven't even mentioned the caves.
Yeah.
And Blue Licks Battlefield was fascinating. All that history and so many different periods of history that are kind of combined in that one park. So yeah, there's even though we've been to every single one and we've been to several recently, I knew we still have so many things that we will go back to do. And it's not that hard and it's not that expensive. You can do it at whatever level you want. We car camp some too.
Mhm.
So, if you're having a month where you need to spend less on travel, then, there's a lot of options. If you have, and, you all do, I know you all have some sort of promotion going on, but for Kentucky residents, as far as your resort parks go, there are typically some sort of Kentucky resident discounts involved. It may be periodical, but we've seemed to catch some of
We do
those.
different discounts throughout the year. We have certain ones for disabled veterans that I
Okay.
think run year round, which y'all need to check. This will all, again, like a broken record, parks.ky.gov
Sure, of course.
and call the park you're interested in. We do a reduced rate on lodging seasonally from
Okay.
late fall through early spring usually, and a lot of different folks will qualify for that. Folks that work anywhere in Kentucky state government, I believe also if you work at local city government or county government, teachers I believe are also included in that. But yeah, we do different discounts
So
and things throughout the
there's
year.
some good discounts to be had out there. I forgot Penny Royal. We went to Penny Royal.
You did Pennyroyal too, excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pennyroyal's a great park. They've got an exciting project getting ready to come on because Dawson Springs was our first certified trail town. We're wrapping up the first ever trail town grant fund we've ever administered.
Mhm.
So our trail town's got some funding to do different projects, and Dawson Springs is going to improve some mountain bike infrastructure out there.
Exciting.
I think it's right across from the state park entrance. If it's not on the park, then it's right beside the park there as part of the state forest. Because within
Mhm.
Pennyroyal Forest State Resort Park, it's surrounded by Pennyroyal State Forest. So there's thousands upon thousands of acres to get out there and explore. But anyway, yeah, tons of good stuff going on in Western Kentucky, Central, and wherever you want to go. I should have mentioned this when we were talking about the facilities we have and things, but in talking about the support we've gotten from the governor, the support we've gotten from the legislature, we got a lot of projects that are on tap. So things may be closed in coming months. So just kind of a heads up for folks as you're traveling. Different state parks have planned renovations on the schedule. So look online, call the park, make sure you've got the most up-to-date information. But some of our lodges will be down for a few months to get renovated. Pools, we have a few pools that are scheduled to be offline, I think, to get renovations and upgrades. We've been doing tons of work in campgrounds all across the state to, the world of camping has changed.
Mhm.
When I go, I still use a tent. I told the story about taking the 6-year-old out. If we were in a campground that had 100, let's call it 100 to 150 sites, we were one of 2 people I saw still in tents, right? Everybody's in campers now,
Yeah.
but the campers are getting bigger.
Oh,
They
really?
need more. They need more power. They need more
Mhm.
current. So
Mhm.
we're in the process of upgrading different campgrounds all over the state. There's a lot of work going on, I guess
Good.
is what I'm saying. It will hopefully make for a much better experience for folks. But
Wonderful.
just do a bit of planning, get online, see what's scheduled to be down and when. Call the park if you want to make doubly sure, and make sure we've got what you're looking for before you go come out and visit us.
And that's an excellent point. We have written a guide to summer at Kentucky State Parks. It's on roadtrip.com.
Well, that's a heck of a place to go.
Yes, and so lots of information there about everything we're talking about. Plus, did we do have the link at the bottom of that guide that has updates on like storm damage
Yeah.
and things like that. So you all keep that page.
We'll keep that up to date.
Yes,
Yep.
you all do a great job with that. So we wanted to make sure we linked that for that information. But calling ahead is always such a good idea. We did that practically with every park
Yeah.
as well, because the staff there are so knowledgeable.
Yeah.
When they're answering your questions. So, tell us a little bit about the bingo that's happening. You all have going on.
Yeah, I wanted to save not the best for last, but
Oh,
something
okay.
that I'm pretty excited about. I missed one other thing.
Yes,
Can I do one other go back?
Of course.
So we've got another writers retreat coming up at General Butler State Resort Park.
Okay.
During 2024, we did 3 of them with our former poet laureate Silas House.
Mhm.
They were amazing. So we've incorporated some other former poet laureates and Kentucky famous authors, Frank X. Walker and Crystal Wilkinson are going to be at General Butler State Park June 16th and 17th. It's a Monday and Tuesday, but we're hoping folks will still be able to attend with it being summer break. It'll be an afternoon session and a morning session, and you'll get to sit with one author in the evening on day one, sit with the second author. You'll flip flop, go visit with the other author, and they're going to be doing some writing workshops for folks that are interested in writing, and the authors we have here in Kentucky to learn from people who are certainly doing it at the highest level. So that information's online. We've got some ads going on right now about it. You'll find them all over social media, and you'll see a special webpage for it on our website right now too. So that's coming up here in a couple weeks at General Butler State Park. But then during the entire month of June, it is Great Outdoors Month. That's celebrated nationally. National Trails Day was just Saturday before we recorded this, and so we had events going on all over. I think they call it the Longest Day of Play, the Great American Camp Out are both happening at the end of this month. But we've developed a special bingo card that's on our website that you can interact with us on social media. It's got tons of different activities on it. Some are very generic. Catch a sunrise at a state park, hike a trail, go identify a bird with either a field guide or one of the great apps that are out there now. Go birding in a state park. Some of them are very park specific, like go visit the Big Twigs at Lake Malone, go to Wycliffe Mounds. But you can go complete a bingo card and you'll be entered into a drawing for a free night stay at a state park. We're going to draw 2 winners at the end of this month. But again, another shout out to a member of my team, Carrie Roof. She helped put that together, and our great marketing team are helping get the word out about that. It's just, it's just a fun way to get out and see state parks. And they've done a great job of mixing pretty easy events, or pretty easy categories, something that, you could do at any state park, and some that are very park specific, like I said. So you may have to get out and find a park that you've not been to yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was so excited. You and I hadn't discussed it. So I saw it, it reached me on social media first.
Yeah, good.
So I am your target market.
Right.
But I was so excited. The first thing I did was I screenshot it and I started figuring out what spaces you've already
filled.
Yeah. And I mean, as much as we've done, we still, don't have bingo yet. So
you got to keep at it.
You
got all month. You've got all month.
We got to keep at it.
Yeah.
So, and these are, this is a technical question, but I'm a rule follower. It's things you're supposed to do during the month of June, or just that you have done?
Supposed to do during the month of June.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yep, do it during the month of June for Great Outdoors Month.
Yep. So I
don't know how hard we're going to police that.
I understand.
I don't think we're going to send rangers around to verify. No. But the idea is, do it during the month of June. See how much you can get out. See how many parks you can visit, and all the fun things you can, take in at those parks. It really kind of encapsulates all we've been talking about and rolls it up into one nice little package there.
Carrie did a lovely job.
Carrie and the marketing team, we've got a great graphics. Obi does put it. It just looks awesome. Olivia's our new marketing director. Her and her team have done a great job of trying to get the word out about it. And it's just for fun. But if you can get a bingo, you will be entered to win free night stay at a state park.
Love that.
Yeah.
It's and I mean, who doesn't love a little friendly competition when they're thinking about, winning something? That appeals to all of us.
Yep.
So, but fun times. Okay. What else do we need to? Anything else you can think of? We appreciate all the work you all do to give us opportunities to do all the neat things, all the adventures we can have, all the restful times. All the gathering around the campfires. I mean, it's really appreciated by us personally, and I know so many others who can't wait till the weekend when they can, get to their spot at the campgrounds or get on that trail. We hear a lot of people talking about using the state parks, so
that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
And, we certainly appreciate you all helping us get the word out.
Oh, it's been
because,
fun.
It's one thing for me to sit here and talk about how great state parks are, but I am state parks. People like to hear from other sources too, right?
Yeah.
That's obvious. And you all have got a huge audience and a great following. And so you all sharing some of the things we've got going on with them is certainly appreciated by us, and just, helping kind of wave the banner for the good things going on. Again, not just at state parks, but all around Kentucky, other states too. We like our neighbors too. It's just,
Well, I mean,
find something fun to get
yeah,
out and do.
you'd mentioned trail towns.
Yep.
Is there a place that people can go and just see a full list of trail
Yeah,
towns?
they're on our website too. They're on the tourism website, and we've got information about them on our state parks website too. That program started in the Department of Tourism a little over 10 years ago now, and I was the last one left working on trail towns for the state. So when I moved over to state parks, I asked the powers that be if I could take trail towns with me. I think it's a natural fit.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of overlap there in what trail towns are about and what state parks are about. And a lot of our trail towns are geared to get people to state parks and vice versa. So, yeah, you can definitely find information about trail towns online, Kentucky Tourism, parks.ky.gov, and on their own individual web pages and social media accounts, because some of them are really getting really good about,
Agreed.
telling their own story, which is a huge part of being a trail town. It's all we've talked about today: the fun outdoor activities, the culinary experiences, the bourbon, the coffee shops, whatever makes that place, but also the story of these towns.
Yeah.
What is their unique culture? What's their unique history? What's their art scene look like? What do they have going on that make them unique? So they're doing a great job about telling their own story too.
And there's different flavors no matter where you're going. It's a different.
They're very different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all good stuff.
We've
All
got
good stuff.
we've got some that aren't real towns. I say that what I mean by that is they're not, they're not an actual city. They're not an incorporated city.
Incorporated.
Yeah, they're just rural communities. But like Royalton, it's the Dawkins Line Rail Trail, our longest rail trail, cuts right through the middle of Royalton, right smack through the middle of it. Stearns down in McQuarrie County. McQuarrie County has no incorporated cities, but Stearns is the doorstep to the Big South Fork National Recreation Area and the endless adventure you can get into there.
Endless.
And then we've got places like Elizabethtown, and they designated themselves the first urban trail town. And it's
Love
a totally
that.
different feel, totally different vibe, but both of them have great stuff going on.
And they are currently working on infrastructure to tie even more of their trails together, I think.
Yep, they are.
They see the future of.
Well, they've always been pretty forward thinking with groups like Elizabethtown Green Space, one of the first kind of conservation trail oriented groups that I think I've got that correct in the state. And they've got a great network of trails for hikers, bikers, cyclists. There's places to canoe and kayak out there. Yeah, all kinds of good stuff.
We used their accessible launch, their ADA.
Oh, did you
accessible
use
launch.
it?
Yes.
I've not ever had to use it, or not ever used it, but I've seen it.
Yes, we did. Just to kind of film it and show photos of how it all worked. Beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful opportunity that they have.
Yeah, we need
out
more of
there.
that. We need more of that. So, definitely kudos to them for getting that online, and we need more of that at
And
parks and other places too.
And they have the Your Gear is Here program where you can just walk in and pick up pickleballs sets or, whatever fishing gear or golf clubs, I think. And, so you don't have to even bring all that.
Fantastic.
It's super. So many cool things to do during the summer in the Kentucky State Parks and the surrounding communities that are super focused on, providing meaningful opportunities for everyone. So thanks for working with you all for the summer has been one of our dream, projects. We are super fans for sure of the Kentucky State Park system.
Yeah.
We appreciate it very much. Thanks for letting me babble at y'all again.
Oh, of course. We'll talk to you again in the fall.
Fall will be busy. We got some of our bigger, kind of marquee events that happen that have been going on for years and years, if not decades. They happen in the fall, and like I said earlier, I think it's becoming as busy, if not the busiest season we've got. Certainly one of my favorite seasons.
It's beautiful and cool.
Yes.
So you don't have
that helps.
That helps. So anyway, listen for us to sit down again and talk more.
Thank
Thank
you guys.
so much.
Thank you.